YouTube, it's Erin, and it has been a hot minute since I've been here on the channel, and I have so much to tell you all. I don't even know where to start this video. I don't even know how to make this video cohesive and coherent. I have so much to share with you about my story and my journey. The big news, because I'm not going to make you wait forever, is that I am pregnant again. I am pregnant again. It has literally been 10 years since I've made pregnancy vlogs with Willow. I'm sure if you've been here and you've been around on the channel for a while, you know who she is. That's my first daughter. She came after a few losses as well, but since then, my whole life has changed. My whole life has changed. It's so different. I don't even know where to start. I mean, I have made a few videos on the channel kind of sharing a little bit about, obviously, our happy divorce story. Obviously, Steve and I are no longer together. And I also shared a really quick engagement video showing my engagement to my now partner. That's all happened. That's all happened in the last 10 years. But at the same time, the other thing that's happened as well is that, but she is, and yeah, I am pregnant again, and I'm 14 weeks along now. This is the longest we've made it, other than Willow. It still feels surreal. I feel like I'm lying, even when I say that out loud, but I am also so emotional. I am very hopeful, but also cautiously optimistic. I don't think my body or my mind has fully allowed me to yet accept that I am pregnant. I mean, I am. I'll fill you in. It's not been an easy first 14 weeks, but here I am. I have a baby growing inside of me, and that is so weird because we have wanted this for so long. Okay, long story short. For those of you that know and have been around my channel, so as I mentioned, Willow, I got pregnant in 2010 and started making pregnancy vlogs to document my journey and to share that with all of you. And I loved it, and the community that I met here was incredible and supportive, and I made so many friends, and it was such a great thing to do. Pre-Willow, we experienced loss as well. That was really hard and obviously challenging, but we were very fortunate that we were able to get pregnant and the baby stuck. We did go through fertility treatments at that time. We went to the fertility clinic. We went on I think it was a Thursday or Friday, and on that Monday or Tuesday, again, timing, it's a decade later, so it's a little hazy, but essentially we found out we were pregnant from the time we met with the fertility clinic to the time that we found out. It was just 4 days, and we were very fortunate to get pregnant on our own. Willow stuck. She is here, so that pregnancy was amazing. I, again, documented the whole thing here on this channel, shared her birth, and shared pretty much, I think, up to about two to 2.5 years of her life, also on YouTube as well. After that point, things started to shift. She started to get a bit older. I started thinking a little bit more about her life being her story to tell, and I felt like once we got to a certain point, I no longer wanted to sort of take that responsibility into my own hands. And at the same time, Steve and I were also going through, obviously, shifts in our relationship. We ended up making the decision, I think when Willow was, I want to say she was 3.5 or 4, we made the decision to separate and then divorce. We're still great friends. In fact, he was just over with Willow's half brother, because she has a half brother now. They were just over, and we still get along really, really super well. He's still one of my closest friends. So anyway, so we separate a little bit later, maybe a year or so. I end up starting to date one of my long-time friends. We both found ourselves single and started dating, and it wasn't long after that we were, I mean, obviously when you get into a relationship in your 30s, things are different. We went through the whole process, moved in together, got engaged, and we actually went on a trip to Paris. It was in Paris that I actually found out that I was pregnant. It was like scripted out of a romantic comedy, because we went into the hospital because I thought I had a blood clot in my leg, and then she came back in the room and was like, so there's no blood clot, but you are and of course she's French, so she was like, you're in petite pregnant, like obviously very early pregnant. That sort of set like our, obviously our minds and things in a place where we were like, oh my gosh, okay, let's think about kids and babies. We ended up coming home, and fortunately that baby didn't stick. We ended up losing that baby. And then in between that time and today, which has been almost 5 years. I've had a total now, pre-Willow and now with Willow, a total of 10 pregnancies, and only one of them, Willow, has made it. So it's not been an easy journey, to say the least. We just kind of got to the point where we assumed that it probably wouldn't happen for us, that we were probably not going to have any children together. Obviously we have Willow, but we just sort of figured that that was the case. And then at the beginning of this year, I quit my full-time job because I wanted to kind of go back to working for myself and doing consulting. I literally quit on the 26th of January or 25th of January was my very last day at work. That was like the first day where I was like now self-employed. And I found out on February 13th that I was pregnant. Much like the other pregnancies, I didn't think that one would stick either. And we sort of just went through the process that we normally go through, which is just like, okay, let's see where this goes. Obviously, I instantly shift into pregnant mode in the sense of like cutting back on the foods I shouldn't eat or cutting them out altogether. This pregnancy just felt different though. I was very tired. I was very nauseous. I hadn't had a lot of nausea in my previous pregnancies, not even with Willow. Just the breathlessness, which I obviously still have right now, but just like a lot more symptoms. I called my doctor, had all of the HCG tests ordered so that I could like track my beta levels and, you know, kind of see where things were going. And my numbers were looking really great, which was very surprising because again, we hadn't had that. My HCG levels were always pretty low. And the only other thing I did differently in this pregnancy compared to all others was that I called my doctor and asked to go on progesterone immediately. So progesterone suppositories. A good friend of mine, I won't say who, but a good friend of mine was the one who told me that I should try that. So I did right away. I called and I got that prescription as well. Things are progressing. My numbers are looking great. We go for a 9-week scan and the baby has a heartbeat. And we had gotten to this point before with another pregnancy where we saw the baby's heartbeat and then ended up losing the baby at about 10 weeks, like 9.5, 10 weeks. That milestone was like, it was great to hit and I was super glad that we saw a heartbeat, but I was also still a little cautious, still a little like not quite believing that things would work out. Things kept going and I was very, very ill. Very, very ill. In fact, it's the sickest I think I've been in general ever. It was just really rough, but I was obviously incredibly grateful. Like any symptom I had, I was like, yes, please give me the symptoms. But at the same time, I was also like, this is terrible and I hate feeling so bad. Things kept progressing and then we went for our 12-week scan. The baby still had a heartbeat and all the scans looked really great. They did blood work to start some of the early genetics testing and things like that. Everything is still looking great. And so now I'm 14 weeks, so still early in the process, but again, the furthest we've made it other than Willow, and still feeling all of this very strong symptoms of pregnancy, still doing progesterone. Honestly, like it still feels really surreal. I announced it publicly on like social media and whatnot last weekend, I think. That was really great for me to sort of support the idea that this is real, this is happening, but also because I'm very much a live out loud kind of person. And so if anything were, God forbid, to happen, even at this stage and beyond, that's going to be really hard to like hide from like my clients and my friends and people that I know. So we just made the decision that we would be more open about it because at the end of the day, you know, life is going to do what life is going to do. And so we can only move forward, but it still feels really surreal. Like I don't think I've fully let myself believe that this is going to actually happen. In fact, I probably won't feel that way until the baby's literally falling out of me. And then maybe at that point I'll be like, this is real. But like even still right now, you know, after like 8 losses, 1 live birth, 10th pregnancy now. So that's a lot. That's a lot to go through and not get your hopes up, and even just talking about it's actually making me feel a bit more emotional than I thought I would. It's hard. Like I think one of the things that is the saddest about being pregnant after so many losses is just that joy that I did not expect to get emotional on this, but it's the joy that gets stripped away from it. And I'm still very excited, but I'm also very, very guarded too of my heart and my emotions. And yeah. Oh, yeah, this is it's a hard thing. It's a really hard thing. And I don't know. I think that unless you've gone through a loss before and been pregnant, it's a hard thing to fully understand, because I've had obviously lots of friends, family members that have had no problem getting pregnant, you know, no losses and nothing like that. Like their pregnancies were basically picture perfect. And they're able to get pregnant, and from the time that they pee on a stick, it's like that joy is there, and they can immediately start planning and thinking about it and talking about it, and, you know, thinking about baby names and things like that. But when you've gone through as many losses as we have, you don't let yourself do any of that. It's hard, and the challenge that I find for myself is just that, you know, like people will ask me like, oh, have you bought anything for the baby yet? And even though I'm, you know, 14 weeks, I'm getting closer to being halfway through the pregnancy. I haven't bought anything other than a pair of baby boots for the announcement picture, because we had a very specific picture in mind. But I haven't bought anything for the baby. You know, I didn't even let myself buy maternity clothes until literally like a week ago. And that's just because I don't have any pants anymore that fit me. So I was forced to. But even those things, like, you don't let yourself do those things, because it makes it real, and that's good. But at the same time, it's also difficult, because the deeper you get into it, the higher your hopes and expectations get, and the harder the fall if something happens. And so that is that. But I am, even though it is hard, and even though my emotions and my heart are still a little guarded, I am so excited, and I am so grateful that we get to have this experience. My fiance doesn't have any biological children. He has Willow, and like they have an incredible relationship. In fact, they're out on a bike ride right now, and I am so grateful that they have such a great relationship. And so he was fine, you know, even like if we had only had Willow, he was fine with that. But it is still a very special thing for him to be able to go through and experience life with a baby right from day one, where he came into Willow's life when she was a bit older. So that part's exciting. It's a lot. There's a lot. Anyway, so I'm trying not to like make this video 100 years long, but it has also been literally a decade since I've talked about babies. We have nothing. This is like, it's so funny. We literally have like, our life now is crafted in a way that, you know, it's our home is set up to support a 10-year-old girl who is so quiet and like chill. And we literally, other than a few sentimental things I kept from Willow, there's nothing. Like, we don't own a single baby thing. So on the one hand, it's actually kind of exciting to go through that process again. It's also so overwhelming, because I feel like, I know it's only been 10 years and I'm not that old, but I feel like things have changed so much in the baby space that there's so much new technology and things that exist that I just like, I feel overwhelmed by thinking about it. But again, we're not going to think about it anyway until after our like 18-week scan, and once we know, like, because that's more of the morphology scan. So once we get, you know, a better indication that like things are okay and everything is good, and I think maybe even finding out the sex of the baby might make it a little bit more real as well. Again, it's like baby steps for us right now. And I'll probably do a recap on the first few weeks separately. So maybe I'll just hold off on going into too many of those symptoms and things. Maybe I'll just make this one like a very random update video to say hi and tell you the news and share that with all of you. You'll have to forgive me. It still feels very weird. I'm still trying to get to the point where I can talk about this in a way that feels like I'm not just lying to everybody, because that's literally how I feel. Even though I have a belly now, I have a belly and it's there and I can see it, and I have a Doppler at home just so I can check the heartbeat from time to time, and I hear it, you know, and I'm like, there's my baby's heartbeat. and I've seen it on the scans, and you know, I'm progressing forward, but need to emotionally get there too. So, okay, I'm gonna stop this one. Thank you for watching. Thanks for being here. And if you're brand new to the channel, I mean, feel free to go back into the decade, you know, old archives. There's a lot of videos there, but I will be doing pregnancy vlogs again. I'll be sharing a little bit about our story. And if you have questions, please ask. I know like my story was all over the place. I didn't take notes or anything. I just literally threw my camera on and started talking. So if you have questions about the story, about the journey, how we got here, let me know. Thanks. Love you guys.